must write your story. Kids were my best teachers. What we're trying to do through the opera is to empower individuals. So having children make their own choices. And so in the process we try to empower teachers, and teachers to empower children, and children to empower each other. And in that kind of a culture, then we will have peace in the world.
From a principal's point of view, I love the growth that I see in my faculty. I love the camaraderie. It's bringing teachers together that wouldn't normally be working side by side, because they're using their strengths and their talents to meet the needs of the opera.
When the idea came that we wanted to have Carol come back, he'd already worked at Monroe, and Lana, the principal, is very supportive of the arts, and so it's a very good place to have that kind of project take place, because the vision of what the arts can do for the children is already here.
Good evening. My name is Dan Whitley, and I'm very pleased to introduce you to a very talented man, Carol Reinhardt, from Tucson, Arizona. He's a composer and a marvelous teacher. Carol, it's so nice to be with you tonight. I know you're working on this little musical at Monroe Elementary with the 3rd grade class. Why don't you play a little of their music for us?
We are the wild things, the terrible, terrible wild things. We roar our terrible roars. We gnash our terrible teeth. We roar our terrible eyes and show our terrible claws.
Oh, that is beautiful. I love it.
The children decided against what the principal and the classroom teacher had hoped they were going to choose as a basis for their opera, but they voted it down.
Oh,
and
wonderful.
So they said, we want to do Where the Wild Things Are, a story by Maurice Sendak.
Oh, wonderful.
And it's a marvelous tale, and the kids are having such fun doing it. Smile at the audience and the curtain closed.
I chose the story for them, and then we read the story, and then based off of that, Dr. Reinhardt comes into the classroom. Dr. Reinhardt came in and wrote the opera with our class. We did it on Tacky the Penguin.
We had read a story about this soldier that was left out, and it just had a rhyme to it.
And they did this whole audition process where they got up and they sang a part in front of the whole class, and they did, and everybody got to vote who got what part, and they ended up just really responding well to it. At being 6 years old, I was really impressed.
So we just went from there. It was something we used in our math class, and we started talking about what could we use as a book to perform with. That's where it came from.
After that, they got to write the music. So Dr. Reinhardt would play a note, and then the students would sing how they wanted that to sound and what they wanted the next part to sound like in words, and he would just kind of play it out and come up with a melody that went along with it. Some of them were shy, but then after the first or second person that got up to sing, all of a sudden they all wanted to do it, and they were all giving it their best.
This is the students' opera, as Dr. Reinhardt keeps emphasizing, that this is all about them creating their opera and learning how the procedure goes and how fun this creation can be.
Always remember, whose opera is it? Ours. Who has to make all the decisions? Ours. You do, yes.
And he's worked his whole life with children doing children's opera. We were very fortunate to have him come to our school.
And he just steers their creativity and their desire in where they want to pull the story.
You won't forget your part because we will have gone through it so often. This is one of 4 operas that are being produced. A first grade opera, 2 third grade operas, and a 6th grade opera that are being done. And in 4 days, they chose a story. We did a story outline. They wrote the libretto or the script, and they composed the music. And on the 5th day, 4th and the 5th day, we did much of the auditions in which the students get up and perform before their peers. And the students then make choices about who projects best, who enunciates best, who sings best in tune, and who is most believable.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And so in the process, I often ask them, whose opera is this? And they said, oh, it's ours. And I said, then who must make all the decisions? Oh, we must.
That's wonderful.
I have to tell you how much I have enjoyed this work with you, because you created a nice piece, and you can be very proud of that. Everything except the scoring of the music that they have created is something that they're not yet ready to do, and I do that as a part of that and create an accompaniment for them.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, do you have a name for the program? What do you really call it?
Well, we had originally, there was a program that was put on by the Opera America, a group that sponsors or supports opera in this country. And the part that we're doing is create and produce. And the students make all decisions in the process.
How long have you been doing this? You started when?
In 1983.
In 1983. What was your first production that you did?
Oh, the first one was a kindergarten, first grade opera called Something's Fishy at the Restaurant. And it was this story of this owner of the restaurant who runs it all by himself. And he goes around singing, I am so busy, I don't know what I'm doing, and all this kind of stuff. And in comes ultimately Sylvia. And she comes in and sits at a table with another couple. And she says, what do you do? And so the girl of the group says she works in a school, and the other one, I've forgotten what he does. And they turned to her and said, and what do you do? And she jumped up and pulled guns and said, I'm a robber.